Nonfiction. Free books. Watch and listen and complete the form on Schoology. We'll drop books off your doorstep. Eagle Staff Prime is up and running. Nobody knows more about football than John Madden. His childhood was all about sports. When an injury stopped him from playing in the NFL, he kept on learning everything he could about football. He became head coach of the Oakland Raiders, winning more games than any coach in Raiders history. Then he used his football knowledge as a commentator and the creator of one of the most popular video games ever, Madden NFL. Find out why John Madden is such a beloved member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. John Madden, a Pro Football Hall of Fame biography by Peter Richmond. With a Burmese mother and a white American father, Alex Wagner grew up thinking of herself as future face, an example of what the mixed race future of America would look like. Her father's ancestors immigrated to the United States from Ireland and Luxembourg. Her mother fled Burma, now Myanmar, with her family in the 1960s. When Alex learns that her ancestry might be more mysterious than she believed, she becomes obsessed with learning everything there is to know about her ethnic and racial history. She embarks on a journey around the world and into her own DNA to find out who she really is. Through a blend of history, science, and sociology, Alex tries to solve the mysteries of her family and what it means to be American. What makes us think of certain people as us and others as them? In a time of conflict over who we are as a country, she tries to find the story where we all belong. Future Face. A family mystery, a search for identity, and the truth about belonging by Alex Wagner. Hope in the Mail. Reflections on Writing and Life by Wendelin Van Dronen. Dream big, work hard, and don't give up. In this funny, practical, encouraging guide to writing and living the creative life, Wendelin Van Dronen shares what she's learned from her years as a published author and from the 10 years spent trying to become a published author. It takes courage to put your work out into the world. It takes determination to try again after getting negative feedback, and you will get negative feedback. But Wendelin's stories and advice will inspire you to keep going and keep creating the possibility for good things to happen, to keep putting hope in the mail. The Rise and Fall of Charles Lindbergh by Candace Fleming. Charles Lindbergh was the first man to fly from New York to Paris, a deadly venture for those who had attempted it before him. One of the first media sensations whose extraordinary celebrity would overwhelm him and lead to tragedy. The victim of the crime of the century when his infant son was kidnapped from his crib as he and his wife dined downstairs. A Nazi sympathizer fascinated by Hitler's Germany and a leader of the America First Committee. Famed pilot, inventor of an artificial heart, Pulitzer Prize-winning author, adulterer, environmentalist, and hero, Charles Lindbergh was a complex, deeply flawed American. Here is a spellbinding biography by award-winning author Candace Fleming, the riveting story of a man whose controversial views and actions will strike an eerily familiar chord in today's readers. In Cryptid Creatures, a Field Guide by Kelly Milner Halls, you'll find cryptid profiles of Bigfoot, Chupacabra, Hellhound, Dover Demon, Goat Man, Loch Ness Monster, Megalodon, Mermaid, Mothman, the New Jersey Devil, Thylacine, and many more. Cryptozoology is the study of mysterious creatures that fall somewhere between real and imaginary on the scientific spectrum. Which cryptid creatures exist and which are proven hoaxes? Find out in this fun field guide filled with profiles and speculative illustrations of 50 fascinating beasts. Kid Activists, True Tales of Childhood from Champions of Change, written by Robin Stevenson. Every champion of change started out as a kid. Across history, activists have worked, marched, and spoken out for equality and justice, and they all had moving, funny, and relatable childhood stories. Martin Luther King argued with his dad whether dancing was a sin. Harvey Milk had a passion for opera. Dolores Huerta was wrongly accused of plagiarizing. Kid activists tell these stories and more through engaging biographies and full-color illustrations on nearly every page. Learn about Susan B. Anthony, James Baldwin, Ruby Bridges, Frederick Douglass, Alexander Hamilton, Helen Keller, Nelson Mandela, Iqbal Masih, Janet Mock, Rosa Parks, Autumn Peltier, Emma Watson, and Malala Yousafzai. They were born on May 28, 1934, weighing a grand total of 13 pounds 6 ounces. With each breath they took, Yvonne, Annette, Cecile, Amélie, and Marie Dionne defied medical history. Every one wanted a piece of the miracle. Frantic to protect them from exploitation, the Ontario government seized custody of the babies, isolating them in a custom-built hospital across the road from their family, and then stunningly exhibited them to the public for the next 9 years. The Dionne quintuplets became a bigger tourist attraction than Niagara Falls, gawked at by sightseers through one-way screens as they frolicked in their playground. Their faces sold everything from Baby Ruth candy bars to Colgate toothpaste. In this masterful work of narrative nonfiction, Sarah Miller examines the lives of 5 identical sisters forced to endure the most publicized child in history, and how they survived their turbulent teenage years to forge identities of their own. Impeccably researched with photos of the Dionnes from birth through adulthood, this is an enthralling, heartbreaking portrait of a unique sisterhood imbued with the astonishing resilience of the human spirit. The Miracle and Tragedy of the Dionne Quintuplets by Sarah Miller. Albert Marin writes, A Light in the Darkness, Janusz Korczak, His Orphans, and the Holocaust. A well-known pediatrician in his day, Korczak established an orphanage unlike any other, one run on the principle of honoring children as individuals. Korczak was a Polish Jew on the eve of World War II. As the walls of the Warsaw Ghetto closed around him and his children, he was offered several opportunities to flee. He turned them all down. He simply could not imagine leaving his orphans. Ultimately, he led their march to the deportation trains with stately dignity and perished by their side in Treblinka. In this moving, powerful book, renowned nonfiction master Albert Marin examines not just Janusz Korczak's life, but his belief that children are valuable in and of themselves. Not the people of tomorrow, but people of today. He contrasts this with Adolf Hitler's destructive life and his ideology of children as tools of the state. Throughout, Marin draws readers into the Warsaw Ghetto, what it was like to live there, how it was run, how Jews within and Poles without responded, who worked to save lives and who tried to enrich themselves on other people's suffering, and how one man came to represent the conscience and the soul of humanity. Ernesto and Raul Flores are identical twins, used to being mistaken for each other. As 17-year-olds living in rural El Salvador, they are used to thinking that the United States is just a far-off dream. When Ernesto ends up on the wrong side of an MS-13, one of El Salvador's brutal gangs, he flees the country for his own safety. Raul, fearing that he will be mistaken for his brother, follows close behind. Running from one danger to the next, the Flores twins make the harrowing journey north only to fall into the hands of immigration authorities. When they finally make it to the custody of their older brother in Oakland, California, the difficulties don't end. While navigating a new school and a new language, struggling to pay off their mounting coyote debt, and anxiously waiting for their day in immigration court, Raul and Ernesto are also trying to lead normal teenage lives. With only each other for support, they begin the process of carving out a life for themselves, one full of hope and possibility. Lauren Markham writes The Faraway Brothers, two teenage immigrants making a life in America. Meditation for Kids, How to Clear Your Head and Calm Your Mind. Meditation isn't just for grown-ups. Kids can unlock the power of stillness and inner calm with this playful guide. Learn what meditation is, where it comes from, and what it's good for, with delightfully illustrated stories and fun practices. You'll build mindfulness through engaging activities, such as moving like a tightrope walker, thrilling your taste buds with sour lemon, and balancing like a flamingo. Tips for teaching these exercises to your parents and even pets allow the whole family to practice in your new meditation. Clear your head, calm your mind, and have fun. "23andMe, Bare Minerals, Birchbox, Blendor, Brandless, The Candy Store, Caribou Biosciences, Cool House, Farm Girl Flowers, Glossier, Hintwater, Lumi, Minted, Me Too Network, Next Door, On Second Thought, Pals, Planned Grid, Poopery, Pop Sugar, Rent the Runway, Reward Style, Soul Cycle, Spanx, Stitch Fix, Sword and Plow, Uncharted Power, and Wild Fang. Girls Run the World by Diana Kopp, highlighting the success stories and trip-ups along the way of 30 leading ladies from some of the hottest companies today, with DIY tips, insider insights, fun interviews, hip illustrations, and more. This collection gives girls of all ages the tools they need to chase their passions, spin ideas into reality, and break barriers in the business world. Nonfiction. Did you see a book you'd like to read? Just visit the library's Schoology page, complete the request form, and we'll deliver books to your doorstep while supplies last.